Hey there! So let's talk about kale today. This is a bed of red Russian kale. This is my favorite kale to grow, partly because it's my favorite kale to eat. And what I'm going to talk about today is pretty much true with most kales. And I just want to give you a bunch of tips and everything from planting to harvesting and all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. This kale's been in here. I think we transplanted this like 2 months ago maybe. So like mid-March, it's now mid-May or maybe early March, and now it's mid-May. We've probably harvested off this 5 or 6 times, and you can see how good it looks. And we'll probably get a couple more weeks out of it, we'll see. And it's just a great crop because a lot of people are familiar with kale. Like, it's not a weird word anymore. Most people know what kale is, but most people think it's that really dark, really curly kale that you see in the supermarket. It's really tough to chew, tough to eat. This is super delicate. It's great cooked. At a baby size, which I'll also talk about growing, you can eat it raw. It's just very versatile. You can use it in all sorts of things, and I think that people are getting a lot more used to eating kale. It's not this like weird obscure plant that, you know, people were just like thought was all health food stuff. But people like eating kale now for sure. And I usually find that the red Russian kale goes a long way with people because a lot of people haven't seen it before, and once they try it, they're like, I never knew kale could taste like this. Because, you know, if you're growing this stuff, you know there's a lot of different kinds of kale. When you're transplanting this out, you can direct seed or you can transplant. If you're doing full-size kale like this, I do like to transplant it. And what I do is, this is a standard 30-inch bed. I transplant 3 rows, 12 inches in row. So for a 50-foot bed, I'll need 150 plants. I started these in 72 cell trays. You could also probably do them in 128s, but I like to give them a little bit more room. It takes about 4 weeks before they're ready to get out transplanted. So I do like transplanting though, because you get a really accurate stand and you know that you're putting really healthy crops in the ground. Especially with kale, you want to plant them out early in the spring. So if they're stronger going out, that's a good thing. So we covered sort of the spacing and the transplanting and the timing. Let's talk about harvesting, and then we'll talk about baby greens in a second. One thing I like to do is, especially if you're sending a crew of people out or a helper or whatever, or even yourself, is get the number of rubber bands out for the number of bunches that you want ahead of time. When I'm bunching, I just forget, I lose track. Trust me, it's very hard to keep track of. So if you need 10 bunches, put 10 rubber bands on your hand, or 20. Count them before you get started, then when you're out of rubber bands, you're done harvesting. Super simple, very effective. I just keep them on these 3 fingers, but you can put them around your wrist, whatever works for you. And let me show you some tricks about harvesting now. All right, harvesting is pretty simple, but one thing you want to keep in mind is that you're going to be letting this grow and getting multiple harvests out of it. So you want to make sure you don't take too much off the plant. But what you do is you go down to the outer leaves and you want to find the ones that are big enough that you'd like to harvest, and you find them right here at the joint down here, and you want to just snap it down and nice and clean, and that's your leaf. And you just work around the plant, getting all the larger outer leaves or branches, stems, whatever, and you want to make sure that you leave enough foliage in the middle that it'll regenerate. And you can see down here that this plant's been harvested plenty. You can see this nice thick stem here. It's been harvested up, and it's just going to keep growing. It's great. So we're just going to go around here and try to get a bunch. And you can make the bunches whatever size that you want. You just want to make sure that you're consistent as you're harvesting. So got a bunch here, and so what I like to do is I take a harvest knife. You use any real knife. And what I like to do is get a clean cut across the bottom here so that you get a nice finished package here like this. This bunch is a little bit small, but again, it depends on what you're trying to sell it for and everything. And then I take a rubber band, wrap it around, and there you go. There's your bunch of kale. And the cool thing is, it's all ready to go at this point, and you got this nice clean look there. Looks very professional. Looks nice on a stand, but yeah, that's how you harvest it. Well, that covers growing and harvesting. Some other things to think about are pests. So let's talk about pests. Flea beetles love brassicas, as you guys probably know. So I tend to, what you can do is you can just cover it with insect netting if you want, and that's an option for sure. What I do is I just don't grow it at certain times of the year. So I really only grow it in the spring and then over the winter, because if I grow it in the summertime here in North Carolina, the bugs just love it. So we get it in as early as we can. We got a bunch of harvests. It's a real seasonal crop for us, and that's just how we roll with kale. And generally we get a lot early, and at that point maybe people are kind of sick of kale and they move on to lettuce or something. So that's the strategy for me, is I generally grow things at just different times of years, and I try to avoid the insect pressure that way by just growing what grows best at what time of year. But again, you could cover this with insect netting. It'd be great. All right, so I know I've already said how much I love kale, but here's another reason why I love kale so much is baby kale. And you use the same seed. This is still the red Russian kale seed, and you grow it as a baby green. And this is, I think, even more versatile of a product than the full-size kale. So the great thing about this is it's super quick. You can direct seed it. I am doing 7 rows on a 30-inch bed. I use the Jang with the F, as in Frank, F24, 14 in the front, 9 in the back, and 7 rows on a bed, and it looks like this. And this is actually getting a little bit big. We're gonna harvest this in a couple days, but again, this is a little bit big, but it is where it is right now. Why I say it's super versatile is because you can eat this as a separate green. You can eat this raw, it's super tender and delicious. You can also mix it in if you're doing a salad mix. You can mix in your salad mix, and it'd add some more bulk and weight and add some more diversity to your mix, and that's really cool too. You can also cook with it, and it's kale, so it's great. I often sell it as a separate product, but you can go either way with it, and you just harvest it with the green harvester. So it's a great like quick crop if you just need to get something in a bed and just you know, get it growing, get it harvested, and be out. So again, super versatile with the baby greens, and it's absolutely delicious. People really do enjoy it. Well, hope you guys will consider growing kale. It's an awesome crop, and for us on the farm stand here so far this spring, it's been selling out the fastest of all the things we've been growing, so it's been doing great for us. And you don't have to plant it inside of a tunnel. This is just where we planted it because this is the only beds we had when we started the farm. And you can also get a little bit earlier of a start. It also grows great over the winter time. It's super hardy, especially the full-size kale. Probably do that more so than the baby kale, but you could probably go either way. And I just love growing it, eating it. I just want to share this information with you guys, and hopefully if you're looking for this information, you got what you needed. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated, and we'll see you in the next one.